For what feels like forever, if you worked at a nonprofit, your digital life probably happened in one place. But that's all changing. A huge shift is underway, and we're going to break down exactly why. For years, Slack was just the default. It was the digital headquarters for so many charities, community groups, you name it. And people loved it. It was easy, it was fast, and it was where the real, mission-driven work got done. But that whole world has been turned upside down. Starting around 2024, we began to see this massive exodus. So what on earth happened? Why are the very organizations that used to sing its praises now leading the charge to get out?
Well, it all started not with some flashy new feature, but with something way more fundamental, a complete and total breakdown of trust. The relationship just fractured, and it happened really, really fast.
This timeline really shows you how quickly things went south. First, in August 2024, a new policy starts permanently deleting message history on free plans. Poof, there goes your institutional memory. Then, a few months later, new AI features get bundled in, forcing a price hike for everyone. But the real flashpoint, the moment everyone remembers, came in September 2025. And this quote just says it all. Hack Club, this amazing global coding nonprofit for teens, suddenly gets hit with get this, a 60-fold price increase. They were basically told to pay up in a few days or lose an entire decade of their work. Their open letter went absolutely viral, and it became this symbol of a partnership that had gone totally wrong. This is a textbook example of something called vendor lock-in. The Hack Club story was a massive wake-up call for the entire nonprofit sector. It proved that your most valuable asset, your data, your history, your conversations, could essentially be held hostage by a vendor's changing business plan. But look, it wasn't just about feeling betrayed. This was about cold, hard cash. As that trust vanished, the basic economics of using the platform just became completely unsustainable for organizations running on really tight, grant-funded budgets.
Just look at this table. It lays out the brutal math of what was happening. A mandatory 9% price increase every single year. Now, for a big corporation, that might be annoying. But for a nonprofit that has a fixed grant for the next 3 years, it completely wrecks their budget. It's a compounding cost that is just impossible to plan for.
So, let this number sink in for a second. 107%. That's the price jump a nonprofit was facing just to get a critical security feature like single sign-on. We're talking about a feature they often need to even qualify for grants or insurance. They were being forced to more than double their costs for something that honestly should be standard. And on top of all that, you have what I'm calling the volunteer penalty. Think about it. Nonprofits thrive on people, right? They have these huge, amazing, ever-changing networks of volunteers. But a per-user pricing model punishes that. It charges you for every single person, whether they're core staff or someone who just helps out on a Saturday. The whole model is just fundamentally at odds with how these organizations actually work. And for so many, especially the smaller organizations, this was the last straw. The data deletion policy. Permanently removing messages and files wasn't just an inconvenience. It was the active destruction of their history, their knowledge base. It was like taking a bonfire to their library. So all of these things together didn't just cause people to leave. It triggered something much, much bigger, a great realignment. Nonprofits aren't just running away from a platform. They are strategically rethinking their entire relationship with technology, right from the ground up. And this comparison really gets to the heart of that shift. It's about moving away from just, renting space on someone else's platform and towards actually owning your own digital ecosystem. It's about demanding control over your own data instead of being locked in. It's about stopping payment for bloated corporate features you never use and instead investing in tools built for one thing, your mission. So, the big question is, where is everyone going? Well, it looks like 3 main paths are emerging. A lot of groups are consolidating, moving to tools they already have access to through grants like Microsoft Teams. Others with huge volunteer networks are embracing community platforms like Discord. But there's a third, really powerful path, adopting software that was designed from day one specifically for nonprofits. So let's dig into that a little deeper. What does choosing a new home really mean? What's the actual, tangible difference between trying to make a generic business tool work and using a platform that was built to serve your mission from the start?
Well, the difference is really baked into the DNA of the software itself.
Generic business tools, they're focused on sales funnels and corporate workflows. They hit you with that volunteer penalty, and data retention is kind of an afterthought. But purpose-built software just flips the script. A platform like Highbox for nonprofits, for instance, is a perfect example of this. It's designed with these specific needs in mind. Features like automated impact reporting become central to the whole thing. And that's a non-negotiable for U.S. nonprofits who rely on proving their results to donors and grant makers. That's their lifeblood.
And to make this super concrete, let's talk about a real group, Bright Path Youth Development. They were a small nonprofit, just trying to manage all their work with this messy mix of spreadsheets and different apps, and they were always struggling to keep up.
And you have to listen to what their executive director, Denise Washington, said. This just hits the nail on the head. For so many nonprofits, the biggest challenge isn't doing the good work, it's proving it. The right software didn't just get them organized, it gave them the data they needed to tell their story and get that critical funding.
So what happened after they switched to a purpose-built platform? The first result was just, wow. 12 hours. They saved 12 hours every single week. That's time that used to just get burned on paperwork and admin, now given back to the kids they serve.
And here's the ultimate payoff, 35%. With their operations streamlined, with their story backed by real data, BrightPath was able to serve 35% more youth in their first year. And they did it without increasing their staff. That right there is the power of aligning your tools with your mission. More impact, same resources.
So this whole story, this great realignment, it leaves us with one really critical question to think about, whether you're in a nonprofit or not. Are your tools serving your mission, or is your mission forced to serve your tools? Because as this whole movement shows, choosing the right answer, well, it can change absolutely everything.